Welcome to Keto Beyond the Couch, episode 294.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Joe.
And we are two crazy ketos.
And if you're new to our channel, welcome.
Yes, welcome. If you're new here, please say hi down below.
Now, here on Two Crazy Ketos, we do different things like recipe videos and we do product reviews. We talk about various keto topics, and every Monday we go live on Keto Beyond the Couch because life exists beyond the couch.
You can find us in different social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and X.
And we have a website, which is twocrazyketos.com, and that's where you're going to find all of our different recipes. Now, we do upload at least 5 new videos every single week, so make sure you subscribe to our channel.
And don't forget to hit the little bell icon, and that way, every single time we have chicks with us living in the RV, you'll be alerted to it because they'll be chirping.
Yeah, sorry about the chirping noise. They're down here. We're trying to keep a close eye on them because we bought 16 baby chicks at auction the other day, and we've lost 4 of them.
We are fighting the dehydration game because they were already...
Who knows how long they were without water when they were at the auction.
And warmth. So, yeah. So we're pray for our little chickie babies. We also did add some older, much hardier animals to our flock as well. 2 roosters, Larry, the ladies' man, and Jeffrey, named after one of our subscribers. Mel. Yes, thank you so much, Mel, for that recommendation. Jeffrey is a sweetheart. Larry is a little bit aggressive with
Jeffrey's
dating.
Been friend-zoned.
Yes, Jeffrey's a little friend-zoned. Larry, though, my ladies are like, you have to figure, we've had hens for a while, y'all, right? Like, they're between 2 and 4 years old. And they are pristine, untouched, puritanical young ladies. And so the first thing when Larry starts chasing them is like, excuse me, sir, I am a lady. We don't do such things.
And he's like, oh, we're having it.
We're having it. We're also enjoying some new turkeys.
Yep, we got 7 turkeys. 6 of them are matched breeding pairs. And then there was an extra one because the guy was like, it lost its mate.
Her mate.
And he asked me, can you take it, no charge or anything like that, just because they're social and they've all been living together.
Nobody gets left behind.
So we'll have all that kind of stuff in some blogs on our channels. But just super excited for having the extra animals and everything else. Hoping that we don't have any problems with the internet. The other night, we're sorry, we had the live stream go down. What happened was we popped the GFI. The whole RV runs on a GFI. And it popped the GFI, which means we lost our internet. And it takes a really long time for it to reset. So today we have our Starlink up, which I'm actually going to switch over to Starlink if we need to. Starlink here is great. We get like 350 megs download, about 40 upload. If you're interested in Starlink, if you're thinking about getting Starlink, we're not sponsored by them or anything, but they do have a referral program. And so I have a link down below. It's in all of our videos. If you ever get Starlink, use that link to sign up. You get a free month, which is like $120 to $150. And it also gives us a free month, which really helps us out as far as paying for internet, because we run 3 different internets just in case we have an issue like the other day. We just didn't have the Starlink up the other day when everything happens. Now it's plugged into the house.
You know how if you have an umbrella, it won't rain?
Yeah.
That. So we didn't have the Starlink up. I am taking my daily minerals this morning, but, you know, farm life's got me forgetting to do my normal routine.
Yep.
So, and this is my Keto Brains coffee. Hadn't had a Keto Brains coffee yet this morning. How did this happen?
So, obviously today's topic is about maltodextrin. We'll be talking about that a little bit later on. But if you are new here, welcome. Keto Beyond the Couch is all about our subscribers. We do this every Monday at 10 a.m. Do it live as much as possible, and it's just a chance to celebrate subscribers' wins and also answer questions that we found on our social media from the last week. We spent a lot of time in Mighty Networks. We have a private group. It's at members.twocrazyketos.com. It's completely free to join. If you want to choose to support us financially, please consider doing that at a $5, $10, or $15 subscription. And you get some extra things like Rachel going live on 10 a.m. We're actually going to talk about that a little bit later on Wednesdays. Also, just in case you don't watch to the end of the stream, I don't know why you wouldn't, but just in case you don't, just a reminder, This Thursday, we will not be having a live stream. We're going to try to do one on Wednesday night because Thursday is the rehearsal dinner for Anthony's wedding.
This is wedding week.
So we'll do our live stream on Wednesday this week instead of Thursday, still at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Now, if you're new here, the way we do this is we're going to go through all of the questions and comments we found from the last week. And then we will address the chat the last 10 or 15 minutes of the stream. So if you have a question, hold off until the end of the stream or use the super chat function, which we really do appreciate. It benefits the channel. This is our full-time job. But what that does is it highlights our screen and lets us know that you have a question so that we don't miss it and we can address it right away. Now, before we get into Keto Beyond the Couch, I wanted to talk about something that's been popping up in my Facebook a lot. It's an ad.
Ooh.
But it comes off when it shows up in your Facebook feed as a legitimate article.
Ooh, okay.
And I wanted to warn you guys about it. So this is what the ad looks like. It says Health Insiders Post.
That looks businessy.
And it says from this diet, first, this diet is too restrictive to stick to in the long run. Second, it's actually not keto itself, but this ketogenic enzyme that promotes weight loss. And third, there is science-backed yet simple way to boost it up to 4 times. Read this article from Dr. Katz. But what happens is when you read the article, it's really an article selling you products.
Wow.
And this person claims that you can lose weight on a ketogenic diet without eating a ketogenic diet. That it's really an enzyme that helps you lose weight.
Take this and you can eat whatever you want.
I'm sorry. I am not a doctor, nurse, or a health professional. Okay. I am a certified master health coach. We have been doing this. I've been doing this for almost 8 years. I have a lot of friends who are doctors, nurses, and health professionals. I've done a lot of research, and I'm sorry, but that is nonsense. Please don't fall for this scam. Yes, you can get into ketosis, which is where your body uses ketones for fuel without eating a ketogenic diet. You can consume several products, anywhere from BHBs or different ketone salts, ketone esters, up to coconut oil, and your body will have ketones. Coconut oil turns directly into ketones in your blood. It's basically an exogenous ketone. That's
Right.
what coconut oil is. It's not a ketone itself. It becomes a ketone, but it goes away. You can use ketones without eating a ketogenic diet. However, that is not going to help you lose weight, other than give you a little bit of energy, but you're not burning your fat for fuel that way. The only way to get your body to produce ketones from your dietary and body fat is to not eat carbohydrates. So please don't fall for this garbage ad that's trying to put itself off as a legitimate health post.
You know, it's something that a lot of us fall for. In the past, we bought supplements when I didn't want to do the right thing, but I think that common sense has to kind of make a play here. You wouldn't think that you take a couple of pills and then you don't need to go to the gym to have muscles. The pills just give you the muscles.
Right.
You don't take a couple of pills and say to yourself, now I don't have to study for my medical test or my bar examination. I can just, ace that test by taking these 2 pills. And yet I think over and over again, if it is a drink, if it is a pill, if it is a gummy that is promising some sort of success without effort, then we kind of fall for that thing. But it's just the same. Like, see it all the same. You can't, I'm going to take these 2 pills and my kids are raised and I don't have to deal with doing the pesky work of mothering and fathering.
Yeah.
Right?
So here's the thing. The way your body produces ketones from fat, from your dietary or your body fat, is it doesn't have carbohydrates. There's something called oxidative priority. That is the order in which your body uses what it has for fuel. The number one thing would be alcohol, because alcohol is a poison and your body can't store it at all. Okay, then it will resort to exogenous ketones. So if you take something like Prove It or another exogenous ketone, or if you consume MCT oil and it becomes ketones, it will use that. After that, your body will use protein for amino acids for building muscle. Then it uses carbohydrates. And then if there's no carbohydrates, it will use fat. you can't get to the fat until you've gotten rid of the other three. That's why exogenous ketones can actually inhibit weight loss, okay? Because your body has to go through exogenous ketones before it can get it's got to go through the exogenous ketones, then it has to go through the carbohydrates, then it has to go through the fat. So the only way to get your body into ketogenesis, where it is actively creating ketones for fuel and burning fat, is to restrict carbohydrates. That's why somebody who's on a super low carbohydrate, low calorie diet, like eating less than 700 to 1,000 calories a day, they will be in and out of ketosis. Actually, everybody goes in and out of ketosis at certain times, depending on how much you're eating. But if you want to stay there for a long time, you have to restrict the carbohydrates. The more carbs you eat, the longer it takes for your body to burn the fat for fuel. So now that I'm off that rant, I see a bunch of people asking, how is my hand? My hand is doing better. First couple days were hard. I continued to work, but it was really hard to keep it clean, especially considering I was tiling a bathroom floor. And I wasn't really able to use it because of the bandage. That's why I haven't edited any videos. Hopefully I'm going to get a video edited today. We've got a couple of vlogs from when we were traveling pre-hurricane and through Keto-palooza. So we're going to get those up this week. But thank you everybody who is asking. Let's jump right into our first post from Trish.
Hey, Trish.
It said, the hard days are the ones that make you stronger. You're building a healthier, more vibrant you.
That is so true. And I find that when I get on the other side of a hard day, I feel good about myself. In the middle of the hard day, you're like frustrated, there's even tears for me on hard days. But when I get on the other side of it, I feel so accomplished that I didn't abandon the plan, but I kept persevering. That's really true, Trish. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. I see a bunch of people asking about the Keto Cracked Keto Child collab. I talked to Chris and Miriam this morning. They did completely sell out. Which they figured they were going to sell out. That's why we said it was very limited. Next one is from Terry.
Hey, Terry.
Said, I'm done with my 6-month planner. I wanted to share it with you, the quote that I chose to put inside of the front cover. It has helped me a lot. I'm very sad that I didn't know about the keto lifestyle earlier. My mom passed away from complications of diabetes in 29. I definitely wish I would have parented a bit differently than I did. It is definitely easier to have various regrets in life. I hope this will encourage somebody out there as much as it encouraged me. It says, you did the best you could with the knowledge you had in the moment. It's easier to look back at an event and see a better choice or pathway because we already learned from our experience. Hindsight happens after the lesson, so we can't condemn ourselves for not knowing the lesson before we learned it. Emily Mariton.
That is really super true. I was actually listening to Terry Crews, I love him, being interviewed about marriage, like 30 years of marriage. And he was saying that, the first 20 years, were awesome and pretty effortless. And then they had hit a hard patch. And he's like, you had to persevere it. And through counseling, what came up was this awareness that we were doing the best we could with the information that we had. And if you have a stall, you have a frustration, you have to sort of get more information and then move with that. And so, it's like, don't be guilty and feel shameful for when you didn't know any better. Now that you know better, I think you should hold yourself accountable to that information. We know what we should be eating, so we should continue doing that. But before we were keto and we didn't know about the health benefits, we didn't know how it was going to bless our life, we didn't do better because we didn't know better. But now that you know better, you do better.
Right. I mean, it's so important to not beat yourself up over the past. When our kids were growing up, my motto with them is, you can make as many mistakes as you need to.
Right.
Just don't make the same mistake twice. Because if you make the same mistake twice or over and over again, that means you didn't learn from your mistake.
Right.
So we can't do anything about the fact that we didn't know that they were feeding us garbage information about what we were eating and that it was okay. But now that we know, if we continue to eat that,
that's on us.
It's on us. And it's funny, I may have, so far it has gone okay, but I may have started something in the Let's Hear It Arcadia Facebook group. Somebody posted
We're gonna have to
yesterday or
move.
the day before that basically an article about the fact that there is no nutrition in our food. That an orange, even 40 or 50 years ago, to get the same amount of nutrition, because remember, we live in cattle and farm country here. Um,
Citrus belt.
that to get the same nutrition that you and from an orange that you would have had 50 years ago, you have to consume like 30 oranges today.
Okay.
And talked about several different things, and then there were a couple people go, there was no proof of this. I mean, and it's kind of obvious, but that's another whole story. So I simply posted it. It's because we farm on minerally depleted land. Again, not to get too religious, but even if you go to the Bible, you're supposed to take a break. Like when they farm, they take breaks every 7 years. So we're supposed to regenerative farm. You would grow something on a piece of land, and then you bring in the animals, and the animals poop on the land, and it regenerates
Give it
the
a
land,
rest.
and then it gets a rest. But we don't do that. We crop after crop after crop. And for example, they go cotton and then peanuts. Same land. The land never gets a break, and that's why our vegetables, our fruits, they don't have the same nutrition. And then I went on to say the healthiest and best thing that you can possibly eat is eggs, beef, and other meat from other ruminant animals. And I put up our charts showing all of the different nutrients that you get in beef, salmon roe, and liver compared to spinach.
So, am I going to be able to still shop in town?
Possibly. I'm just stating, somebody was saying, I'm concerned that we have no nutrition in our fruits and
Right.
vegetables today. Again, when I was growing up, an apple was that big. Now an apple is that big. I mean, everything has been modified to be sweeter and larger.
And we're going to plan on having vegetables here on the farm, but it's going to be
Regenerative.
farming.
Yeah. Okay, next one is from Jessica.
Hey Jessica, so seeing all the electrolyte posts, what's everyone's favorite? I tried Ultima and not for me. Haven't tried another, just trying to use Redmond's or Celtic to salt my food. I added salty to my next Keto Chow subscription. Won't get that box till January because I pushed it back because I spent way too much there in 1 month, so I needed to reel myself in a bit. But I kept forgetting the salty. And also, what's everyone's favorite egg white protein powder to make breads? Was waiting for Keto Chows, but it is out of stock. And when I try to find one, I keep reading reviews and I see one bad review and I get scared to try it. Thank you for the help. I'm a month in back to keto after a couple years off of the hinges, and this brain fog and muscle cramps are no fun. Welcome back, Jessica.
Okay, so couple things. So as far as electrolytes, we recommend salty / Keto Chow. So you can use the salty. They're made by Keto Chow, but they've kind of rebranded or branded off for their electrolytes to salty. But you can get everything on Keto Chow's website. If you use the link down below, you get 10%. If you want a flavored electrolyte drink, use salty. And it's sweetened with stevia. It does not have maltodextrin. If you don't want that, then just use, and you don't want a flavored one, you can use the capsules, you can use their liquid drops, their fasting drops, their magnesium drops, the capsules. You could also make your own. There's several ways to make your own. For me, it's too much work, and yes, it will save you a couple of pennies, but I also look at my time is valuable, and how much time does it take me to do that and find all of the ingredients, because you have to find the right ingredients. It's not just about go buy any potassium, go buy any magnesium. You need to use the right ones, and also in the right configuration. Like, you don't want to take more potassium than sodium. So salty, even like Redmond, Relight, they have all, and Element, they have all put together the correct ratios. There are other brands out there. I have, not to get too much into the maltodextrin issue yet, I have reached out to some other companies of popular electrolytes that people use, that I know they use on the ketogenic lifestyle. Not all of them, but like Liquid IV and other ones, to find out, do they have maltodextrin in their natural flavors? Once we find out, I will let everybody know. But I know for a fact that salty does not. Redmond does have maltodextrin in it, but it's not, so far as I know, as much as Elements. And we'll talk about this in a little while. We talked about this 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Okay, and here's the thing. What started it all 2 years ago is that somebody found out Redmond had maltodextrin in their natural flavors. My point back then and now has always been Redmond was
told you
upfront about it.
Yes.
It was always on their website. Element always hit it. And then we'll talk about the rest of the stuff later. But those are the best things. And one of the best things you can do, because it's the one you need the most, is use Redmond's real salt. Use a good mineral salt. Please don't use pink Himalayan salt. It's not from the United States, and most of the stuff here in the United States is not even real pink Himalayan salt. It's just salt colored pink.
Well, and Chris, if you were at Ketopalooza, you remember Chris Bear made a really good point about why he uses red mineral salt versus Celtic salt, and how Celtic salt, the practices of harvesting it, using wooden apparatus, there's a lot of clay, dirt, mud in that. You're not getting 100% of what you're paying for because of what they allow in it. It sounds very nostalgic and beautiful to think that, you're getting, European salt and that must be better. However, if you're looking for the best bang for your buck and the cleanest ingredients, that we have eyes on all the practices of how it's coming to the marketplace, red mineral salt. That's why we recommend it.
If you go through our YouTube channel, you will find, we've been to the mine twice and you can see their mining practices, and it is true salt. It's literally going from an underground ancient mine, being ground up and given to you. So it has all of the minerals. It's not just sodium. They're not adding dextrose, any caking agents, or anything like that. It is literally just mineral salt. And since it's coming from the United States, it's going to be the best thing for you.
Well, and they also harvest it using human grade appliances that you could use, so that you're not having to worry about how it's brought to you.
Next one we have is from David.
Hey, David.
Are keto buns okay or no? Okay.
My anaconda don't want buns and sorry.
So there are a couple out there that I don't think are bad with the ingredients, like the Unbelievable bun. But for the most part...
Did you just say Unbelievable bun?
Yes. We actually did a review years ago about it. Okay. For the most part, any of the keto breads, wraps, tortillas, buns that you're going to find in the store all have garbage ingredients. Depending on the brand, these ingredients range from using wheat itself, oats, seed oils. I mean, they all... And basically what they do is when you look at, if you, for example, go pick up like Mission Tortilla.
Right.
Pick up a packet, not to pick on one brand, but pick up a package of them, the standard tortillas. Look at the carb count, then pick up a brand of low carb or low net carb tortillas, and you will find many times the total carb count is actually higher. And what they do is they pump a bunch of fiber into it so that you discount it. They're playing the net carb game, and if it's got wheat in it, it will cause inflammation. So my advice is stay away from that stuff. There are a couple of good companies out there, but not anything that you can really buy in the store for the most part. Especially if you're looking for if it's a 0 net carb or 1 net carb, run for the hills. Okay.
Lies.
It's garbage. So Fox Hill Kitchen makes some good ingredient stuff. Unbelievable bun is pretty good. I mean, it's not going to taste like regular bread. If it tastes like regular bread,
it is bread.
It's bread. Or make an egg white bread. Oh, which reminds me, back to the other comment, egg white protein. My keto challenge has been out for a while because the price of egg whites went through the roof. When they originally offered it was expensive, then they became the cheapest because everybody else had to now resupply their egg whites. What you want to do is look for an egg white protein where the ingredients are just egg whites. You want to avoid ones that have like different things added into it. So use that. My suggestion is go check out Neely's channel. She uses a lot of egg white protein. So she can direct you to the best ones.
Indigo Neely.
When it comes to reviews, take reviews with a grain of salt. Okay, I don't know about you, but most people, myself included, don't take the time to write positive reviews. They only write a review when they're upset about
Right.
something. I mean, I have literally gone. We were buying a washing machine. Okay, so we bought the GE all-in-one washer, where it is a washer and a dryer all in one. It doesn't need to be vented.
Because we have a small space for that.
Right? Super excited about it. Started reading reviews, and it has like 4.7 stars. And so I generally want to look at the negative reviews. The negative reviews weren't even about the washer dryer. They were customer service in Home Depot was horrible.
Right.
Mine came with a dent in it. That has nothing to do with the function of the machine. A lot of times when it comes to baking things and you see negative reviews on Amazon, it's user error.
Right.
It didn't whip up properly. Well, did you do something wrong?
Yeah.
So if it's got 5,000 reviews and 80% of them are negative, that's a different story. But if you see one or two negative reviews, most of the time it's human error.
Right. Or someone's just ticked off and wants to tell you what grinded their gears.
Next one's from Sherry.
Hey, Sherry.
I'm trying to get my nerve up to mix my first keto chow. I have almond milk, coconut oil, and keto chow packet. How much almond milk and coconut oil should I use? Is there a resource available with this information? I haven't been able to find one. So keto chow has everything on their website.
Yes.
It also comes with a little card. You don't need to use almond milk. You can use water. Almond milk pretty much is water anyway. It's not going to add a tremendous amount of flavor. You are going to get oxalates from the almond milk. It doesn't thicken it up. If it does, it's because there's a bunch of garbage ingredients in there. You just need water. On average, the best way to make your keto chow is between 300 to 500 calories of fat. Coconut oil, I believe, is about 100 calories per tablespoon. Okay. I don't ever suggest using less than 3 tablespoons because your keto chow is supposed to be a meal.
Yeah.
The average keto chow flavor is about 125 calories. So if you use 3 tablespoons, that makes your meal about 425 calories. And that is a good meal. Your meal should not be 250 calories. It just shouldn't be. That's not enough nutrition. It's not enough fat. If you're just starting keto, you want to be consuming more fat because you need to get your body to get used to using fat. So if you're going to use whatever fat source, whether it be coconut oil or butter or tallow or ghee or heavy cream, you want to use between 300 to 500 calories of that plus your keto chow. If you're going to use coconut oil, just remember this. Coconut oil solidifies below, I think it's 74 degrees. I don't remember the exact number. You have to melt it in the microwave, and then you need to use warm water and a blender to mix your keto chow. If you do not use warm water, which should be around 90 degrees, you don't want to use really hot, just warm. If you don't use warm water and use a blender, or if you have a really good arm that you can shake it for a good 5 minutes, when you go to put it in the refrigerator, the keto chow is going to get chunks in it. Because what happens is the gum acacia in keto chow helps to emulsify the fat so it doesn't re-solidify. That's why you need to use the blender. You need to use the warm water because if you use cold water, as soon as it hits that coconut oil, you're going to get chunks. Same thing with butter and tallow.
For some people, if you are trying to stop snacking, you're trying to stop grazing all day long, if you feel like I'm having a really hard time quitting that behavior, I hear people talking about only eating 2 or 3 times a day, but if every single time a single peanut comes across my lips, it's considered a meal, I think I'm eating a lot of meals in a day. Go back to what Joe was saying about making sure you're eating 500 or more calories in a meal. You may be having a hard time stopping grazing because you're not giving yourself enough actual fuel at mealtime. If you're starting your day and you're saying, I'm having a cup of black coffee and 2 eggs, that may not be enough food for you to get to lunchtime. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that you're a monster. I know if you grew up like I did in a dieting culture, you got handed a lean cuisine or a healthy choice meal or something like that. And you're thinking, well, this is supposed to be my serving of food in the morning. And a lot of times what we will do when we come to keto is just change the food, same quantity, but instead of it being a salad or a pasta, we swap it out for meat. But if you're not giving yourself enough food at mealtime, of course you're going to
Yeah.
graze.
Now remember, protein will fill you up in the moment. Fat will satiate you to the next meal. Our friend Steve recently put up a thing after his trip with Terry, and he was talking about that. Like, he didn't have his fat coffees in the morning, and he was hungry earlier in the day than he's used to because he wasn't consuming his fat coffees. That's why that can help people. Next one is from Kelly.
Hey, Kelly.
Has anyone dealt with feeling bloated and got relief by removing high oxalate foods? My mom has been feeling bloated and doesn't know why. She juices vegetables every morning and also drinks a smoothie with lots of berries. I got concerned about the consumption of oxalates, but are they really an issue? Just started reading Sally Fallon's book, Toxic Superfoods. So, yes, oxalates can cause bloating, but usually oxalates, more than bloating, oxalates cause different types of autoimmune diseases. Most likely, and again, I'm not a doctor, but as a health coach, I would say most likely the bloating is coming from excess uh, vegetables that she is juicing.
Yeah.
Juicing is never a good idea. I will
No.
argue to the end of time with people who think juicing is good. The whole idea of juicing is you're taking a lot of vegetables and you're grinding them up and you're consuming more than you need or should.
Yeah.
It's like, again, if you watch our thing on the vlog from our cruise, to make 1 8-ounce glass of orange juice, it took 3 oranges.
Yeah, so if your mom is eating like a side dish of broccoli, she's going to eat way less in that serving than if you juice it. In order for you to juice it or to, like, make it down into a smoothie, you have to take a whole bunch of fruits and vegetables to make that happen. If you were eating a normal human amount of broccoli, if she was serving herself out broccoli, she'd probably just naturally eat a lot less.
If you want to consume vegetables, actually eat them.
Yeah.
Actually eat them. Don't juice them. Also, when you juice them, you end up, especially if you're using one where, like when I was growing up, my mom would make carrot juice and celery juice. And what does it do? It
Takes
spits
out
out all the pulps, and that's where a lot of nutrition is. That's where a
Yeah.
lot of fiber is. Like when you're drinking even berry smooth, you're consuming generally way too much fiber or way too much sugar, way too much fruit overall. Just
Yeah.
consume them as they're designed to be eaten.
It was so funny. I went out to eat with John Paul and Peyton because I watched Peyton over the weekend, and we went to Texas Roadhouse, and we were ordering for Peyton, and the waitress goes, "And you want apple juice for the little one?" And we both looked at the waitress like, what in the world? Why would we do that? Like, because it's funny that, yeah, when we raised our kids, probably juice might have been a thing you would give a little kid, and you're thinking, okay, you want to give them a healthy thing. We were both like, no, of course. But it was funny because the waitress didn't know. She probably gets it all the time to give a little kid juice, but it was funny. It was like, good Lord, no, why would we?
There's more sugar in that stuff than there is in a can of Coke.
Yeah.
Next one is from Demetrius.
Hey, Demetrius.
In the case of produce, if it's not organically grown, leave it alone. Okay. This is true to a point. Depends on really the fruits and vegetables that you're consuming. For example, are you eating the outside of the skin?
Yeah.
Okay. Spinach only ever buy organic.
Yes.
Okay. Spinach is one of the most heavily sprayed crops there is. When it comes to things like avocados, not that big of a deal because you're not eating the outside part. With that being said, yes, stuff does penetrate skin. It depends on what it is. But also know this, organic is a little bit of a hoax, especially here in the United States. They can label organic and still use pesticides and herbicides.
Well, here's the thing too. You also need to look at the origin of the vegetables. If they're grown in the United States, then they have to meet American organic standards. Like, what are they defining it as here? If you get it from another country, what is organic? It's not based on does it meet our criteria. It is deemed organic there, where it's from, that place of origin, and what their standards are. So then it comes into our country, and that's why sometimes you may go to the grocery store and you'll be like, oh my gosh, this like organic whatever seems so cheap, way cheaper than I normally pay for this organic vegetable. Check the place of origin, because chances are it's up to their standards, and then they can just label it organic here.
And you'll see that with meat too. It's called greenwashing, where like a lot of the pre-packaged grass-fed, grass-finished beef, okay, if you
Yeah.
go to Costco and stuff like that, a lot of it isn't from the United States. It's from Australia and other countries, and they import it, but it doesn't follow grass-fed, grass-finished standards in America. It follows their standards. So whenever you buy this stuff, and we always will say this, locally grown, in season, when it comes to the vegetables, do your best. You're going to pay a little bit more money. I understand that, but your health is worth it. Do the best you can. If you can't afford organic and you want organic vegetables, my suggestion is buy frozen at Costco, at Whole Foods, if you have a Whole Foods
Or
near you.
flash frozen.
Because it's flash frozen, and it actually will have more vitamins and nutrients than fresh stuff, because it's flash frozen as soon as they pick it.
I'm going to also recommend check out your local farmers markets. It's fall.
Yeah.
There's some really beautiful farmers markets that kind of open up in this season. So if you're going to enjoy some vegetables, why not enjoy the entire experience by like just making it fun? You know, there was a barn that was by our old house in Deerfield Beach but it only opened at like the end of October, you know, and into the fall.
Next one's from Sandy.
Hey, Sandy.
For years, I followed a low net carb lifestyle, thinking I was doing great, but actually having limited results. I was on the low carb cruise, June of 2024. I became jolted from my tunnel vision and introduced to a whole expansive world of how broad low carb can mean. And I moved from total carb count, and I moved to total carb count and got rid of the fiber I was using to get net. I have a childhood aversion to meat that I'm struggling to overcome as I become more and more convinced that carnivore will be best for me to address cardioid blockage and increasing my calcium score and my CAC. I realize I need community.
Wow.
Yeah, unfortunately, the net carb thing, it's made up by the food industry to sell your products.
And here's the thing, I don't even fault them. If you have a business, you're going to advertise that business, you're going to try to draw customers to your business. And you know, sometimes I've even had like where you're hiring a contractor or something, and then they have like $99 to like look at your stuff, right? Like so, and sometimes you feel like, gosh, I feel like I was taken advantage of by whatever was like this extra fee. But it's a business. It's a business. They're trying to stay in business, make money, attract customers. And sometimes you feel like, wow, I feel let down, I'm not happy with that, interaction. It's happening at the grocery store all the time. They're going to do what they need to do to try to get your business. So you have to come into this as best of an educated consumer as you can. And you can start by just saying, I'm going to follow a total carb protocol. It's the same thing. A lot of times people will ask me when tracking, do you do raw or do you do cooked? Do raw. Do raw food tracking, because you're never going to go wrong, right? If you are able to have less fat at the end of the day because of your cooking, that's okay. If, let's say, the fiber does work and you get rid of some of it and you're not getting all of those total carbs, are you going to be upset?
Right.
No, it's in your benefit.
So here's the thing for carnivore, if you're looking to improve your arteries, you don't have to necessarily worry about carnivore. Eliminating the sugar and the seed oils is going to go a long way. Also for your CAC, the lower the number, the better. You don't want a high CAC score. You want a low number, as close to 0 as possible. Next one from Kelly. I'm confused. Raising your carbs to eat a treat sounds counterproductive. So this is where I said I would rather you raise your total carb count that you allow yourself if you're having a treat. And I understand that it could be a little confusing when I said that. What my point is, it goes back to the net carbs thing. Net carbs is a game. The food it's literally made up by the food industry. It actually came around with Atkins because they were like, hey, we need to figure out a way to sell products, because if you just tell somebody how to eat it, you can't make any money.
Right.
You buy the book and now you're done. So they started coming out with products. And now how do you get people to make the products, eat the products, and they taste good? Oh, well, you can subtract this and subtract that and subtract that. True, fiber in your fruits and vegetables doesn't get digested and used for fuel. But now we've got all these made up fibers. We've got man made fibers. We've got things like soluble corn fiber, and there's several different kinds, and some your body uses and some don't. And people just blindly deduct it all. My point is, if if you're going to have a treat, even something like allulose, like if you're putting allulose in your coffee, I would rather you get real with yourself and count it all and say, instead of 20 carbs, I'm going to allow myself 30 total. Years ago, before all of these products came out, you even had people like Dr. Berry and Dr. Berg both said the same thing. Follow you if you want to follow net carbs, do 20 net carbs, but no more than 40 or 50 total carbs.
So you had a total
because
carb cap.
you were putting a limit. Because again, I could turn 200 total carbs into 0 net carbs, no problem. That is not going to benefit you. We always did a thing where we had a dessert day. Once a week, we allowed ourselves a dessert. Okay, whether it be a keto crack bar or ice cream, and this was like before we had the options that we have now, like where we would make mug cakes a lot more than we do now, or maybe we used to have the store-bought keto ice creams that had extra fibers and stuff like that. So on those, we would do like 20 total carbs during the week, and then on that day we would allow ourselves 20 net carbs, but no more than 30 or 40 total carbs. We also never allowed ourselves to have sugar or bread. You know, I'm not saying raise your total carbs to 30 or 40 so that you can go eat an Oreo cookie or a slice of bread.
No.
That increase is to allow for the allulose or something like that your body most likely isn't going to consume, but you're still putting a cap. You don't want to consume 60, 70, 80 milligrams or grams of allulose a day. That's just too much, and it's going to derail you, especially with treats, because generally they're also high in fat and fuel, and that could actually inhibit your weight loss.
Right.
Next one is from Heather.
Hey, Heather.
Working on day 111 of my journey, I'm down 60 pounds.
Woohoo!
I'm not sure who might need to hear this, but it has helped me. I struggle with swollen legs, so my weight can fluctuate quite a bit daily. In the past, I would have let this derail me. This time, my approach is the following. I can control the things I put in my body, but the rest of the process is up to God.
Oof,
I've stayed the course, and I can finally go shopping without terrible leg, knee, foot pain. I have a long way to go, but each day is a new day.
Heather, what a powerful thing. It reminds me so much of that serenity prayer. Lord, help me to, do the things that I need to do and let go of the things that I have no control over. But we do have control over our response and reaction. If you're eating the best you can consistently and you are not pleased with how fast the process is going, don't on purpose react by derailing yourself.
Yeah.
Don't start making, wrong decisions. You know better. Stay the course. Think about that as terms of like the cruise ship. If we're displeased halfway through, well, that's it. I'm just going to like go back or go someplace else, right? That is not going to help your journey. So just continue. You do the right thing. That's the right thing to do. And this whole month of October has been about trusting the process.
Okay, we're going to take a quick fade to black so YouTube can put a commercial, and then we'll come right back. Okay, so next one. We've been ranting too much. It's already 10:45, so we have about 10 left to get through. So we're going to try to do this quick. So the next one is from Mel.
Hey, Mel.
So I took my kids to scout camp this weekend. I'm glad I packed most of our own food. They seriously had 6 meals planned for the one full day that we were here. Breakfast, morning tea, lunch, afternoon tea, dinner, and supper. My kids are homeschooled, so they eat whenever they feel like. So they're probably eating 6 times a day anyway. But it's no wonder people have to eat 6 times a day when they eat the kind of carby crap that they were serving on camp. They had fruit and veggies, but also crackers, chips, popcorn. Breakfast was toast, pancakes, cereal. Not an animal protein in sight.
That was really smart, being proactive. And, when you are going to all of these fall festivals, whether it is like, you've got a trunk or treat coming up this weekend, or you're getting invited, someplace, you're going on a hayride, you're going to like all of these November things that will be happening, fall festivals, make sure you have something packed in your knapsack for you so that, number one, you don't feel deprived. And then number 2, you can stay on plan.
Looking for one of the comments, but okay. Next one is from Debbie.
Hey, Debbie.
She said, "I love this one. What's the best part of aging? Realizing pajamas are perfectly acceptable at 4 p.m."
Absolutely.
I don't think you got out of your pajamas yesterday.
Yesterday I was in it for quite some time. What was hilarious was I am trying to get the turkeys to get used to me. So I stayed in their coop with them most of the day. And I could hear our neighbors like riding their bike and stuff like that by us. And they go, and I could hear them, oh, it looks like they got some turkeys. And I'm in the coop and they don't realize it. And I'm in my pajamas in the coop and I'm like, hey, good morning. How are you? And they're like, oh my gosh, hi. Oh, okay, hi. Because I'm in the coop in my pajamas with the turkeys.
Okay, next one we have is from Anne.
Hey, Anne.
An alternative to Halloween candy. $1 coins. I don't get too many kiddos, so not terribly
Ooh.
expensive.
I'm coming to your house. I think that's a great idea.
Next one is from Sandra.
Hey, Sandra.
How's your cholesterol eating carnivore mostly? My doctor says stays after me about my cholesterol. I told him I'm not taking a statin. My concern is my insurance may eventually not pay for certain things because I refuse to take the statin. For most people, your cholesterol goes down. You have a certain group of people like Rachel who actually are lean mass hyperresponders where she ends up with a higher cholesterol. But that's not a bad thing. I implore you to go check out Dave Feldman and all of his research. The other thing you might want to research is that people who live the longest have the highest cholesterol. So that should say something to you.
I'm going to live forever.
The best thing to do, what really increases your cholesterol, is the sugar. The thing that's more important to look at is your triglycerides. You don't want high triglycerides. How do you lower triglycerides? Don't eat sugar. Don't eat seed oils, things like that. I don't concern myself with cholesterol. I will never take a statin. Now, as far as the statins, basically what happens is the insurance companies don't want to pay the doctors if they don't prescribe it. He's going to notate he prescribed it. If it is something that you're really concerned with, they can write you all the prescription you want. It doesn't mean you have to fill them, and it doesn't mean you have to take them.
No, you don't. And I'm telling you what, statins have become the lollipop that they give you at the bank. You know how like you used to go to the bank and if you went through the drive-through, they would give you like a piece of candy with like the interaction, especially if they saw like a kid in your car. If they see a dog in your car, you know, a lot of times they'll give your dog like a dog treat. I feel like every single person I'm talking to lately, no matter what the reason why they go into the doctor prescribes a statin on the way out. Like it's I think it's a gift with purchase that they feel like they have to give to every single person. So don't feel weird that you've gotten a statin prescribed to you because every freaking person is getting that happening to them.
Next one is from Mandy.
Hey, Mandy.
I just realized the body oil I use is made from grapeseed oil. Does anybody know if seed oils topically are as dangerous as ingested? Okay, there is some research on this. Yes, your skin is the largest organ in the body. Whatever you put on your skin does go in your body. But there is some research that shows that oils that you put on your skin do not penetrate all the way into your body the way other things do because you have so many layers of your skin. With that being said, for me, it depends on what you're doing. Understand that you're going to find seed oils in a lot of things. If you get antibiotic creams, it's going to always be in there. If you buy suntan lotion, okay, we don't use suntan lotion. You can make your own. We have a recipe on our website and a video on how to do it. But if you buy suntan lotion, there are oils in there. They're going to be usually some type of a seed oil. If you're really concerned, use beef tallow or coconut oil to make your own lotions, or you can go, there are some on the market. I would be more concerned about the chemicals and the scents and everything else that they're putting in the lotions over the oil and the cream that's in there.
What I find though is that, you know, why are they using seed oils? Because it's cheap. That's why people cook it, restaurants cook in it. That's why you get dressings that have it in it. It's cheap. It's going to be cheaper. If you're using better ingredients, it's going to cost more. So what I start to get concerned of is if I'm seeing a bunch of seed oil in like my cosmetics, what else are they cutting corners on? It's
Yeah.
usually a good indicator that they're trying to be cheap with stuff. So what are the other things that they're promising that they're probably giving me a cheap version of? So
Yeah.
that's what I concern myself with. Personally, I like to use beef tallow, and I do like coconut oil.
Coconut oil actually has a lot of extra
Great.
benefits to it, like
Yeah.
it's a good natural antibiotic. And so, but yeah, I wouldn't concern myself too much with it. I'd concern myself more with the other chemicals that may be in that. So I don't know if I missed it or where it is, if I didn't put it in here, but I want to talk about maltodextrin.
Okay.
Okay. So you have the whole thing going on with Element. I want to start off by saying we are not and have never been sponsored by Element. We have used Element in the past. We still occasionally will use Element. But we have never been sponsored by Element. So if you didn't know, and I'm sure, and unless you're brand new and started keto in the last 3-4 days and have never watched anybody else, there's a little bit of controversy going on with Element. And that's because it's come out they have maltodextrin in their natural flavors. We talked about this 2 years ago.
Because Redmond had disclosed that
Right.
they had some, and so Joe was like, "I'm going to reach out to Element because
everyone was saying, well, use Element."
and Joe was like, "I'm going to reach out because they just may not be as forthright as Redmond is." And so they were like, "Sure enough, gotcha."
Yeah. So here's the thing. 2 years ago, we were told that each packet has 4 milligrams of maltodextrin. As we said back then, as I've continued to say now, as Dr. Boz said in her video, as Dr. Tro has said on Facebook, 4 milligrams is nothing. It's not impacting anybody.
Right.
4 milligrams is nothing. That will not impact you. It's a trace amount. That would be 1 gram, which is 1 carbohydrate, divided by 1,000 packets. That's not going to impact you both glycemically, as far as raising insulin, and it would not affect your glucose. Now they say that, well, actually every packet has between 250 to 500 milligrams.
Now we have an issue.
Originally, they were saying that, well, we discovered this on doing a independent test. Now, we don't know if they did the independent test or if somebody else did the independent test and alerted them to this. The other day, Nick Norwitz put up a video. He messaged Rob Wolf about it. And now they're saying, well, it was a math error. It was always 400 milligrams, and we put the decimal point in the wrong spot. So if you don't know, 4 milligrams, you would take a gram and move the decimal point over, and it would go 0.04. Now they're saying it should have been 4.4 grams. That's a big difference.
That's a huge difference.
Element always knew they had maltodextrin in it. They did not deny. They always knew there was maltodextrin. The real problem is that they weren't disclosing it on the packaging or even on the website. Right? It is in natural flavors, and that is fine. The Relight disclosed it on their website. Element didn't, and still up until couple months ago, never disclosed it on their website. And even on their website, it was buried in a blog post that you could not find by just searching the website. You had to Google for it. That was July of this year. Now they've updated it further. What's the problem with 0.4 milligrams of keto? 0.4 grams of maltodextrin? For the most part, not a lot. It's the disclosure thing. It's a trust thing.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people talking on our Facebook that's like, this is not Element's fault. It is, because they didn't disclose it and they knew, okay? Yes, for the most part, even 0.4 grams, 400 milligrams is not going to affect your glucose for most people.
Right.
Because maltodextrin, it's not a glucose issue. It's an insulin issue. Maltodextrin is between 106 and 134 on the glycemic index. What does that mean is when you consume maltodextrin, it causes your body to release insulin. So if you were fasting and then consuming maltodextrin in your non-eating window, every time you have one, you're creating insulin. This is not a, cephalic insulin response. You're consuming a product that will cause your body to release insulin. You cannot lose weight in the presence of insulin. So there's really no difference between consuming an element or any other product that has that much maltodextrin in it and eating some nuts. You're eating a meal. You're creating insulin. And that is the real problem. So why are you not having a glucose response? Because your body is releasing a ton of insulin to deal with it. And as Dr. Boz said, some people can't easily recover from that because we're so sick. Because, if you've been doing keto for a while and you've taken things under control, yeah, you probably have no glucose response, but you are having an insulin response. And that's why type 1 diabetics are having an issue with it. Because it's looking for insulin, but they don't create insulin.
Years ago when we first got started on keto, we would consume like Zip Fizz. I loved Zip Fizz, right? Like that was amazing. And it was like 2 total carbs per Zip Fizz. And we were fine with that. We knew it going in. And so I just limited it to 1 a day. They recommended you only limit it to 1 a day anyway because of that. So you just budgeted for that in our diet. But if you're using element, and let's say it is 1 or 2 carbs that you're with every single element you're having, when it comes to electrolytes, you may be consuming quite a few across the day. There's sometimes where I'm having 7 or 8,
right,
depending on how hot it is here on the farm and like how sweaty I get. So now it becomes more of a concern for me.
And here's the other reason I can show you they knew it. Because what happens is when you look at the nutrition label, we've always said Element has between 1 and 3 carbs depending on the flavor. Well, where are those carbs coming from? They come from the natural flavors. There's no carbs in stevia. There are no carbs in like the actual electrolytes themselves.
Magnesium.
All of the carbs are coming from the natural flavors. The way they determine, and I reached out to verify this with Chris Bear because he is a food manufacturer, right? The way they determine the nutrition label on a product, you would think they would have to send it out for lab testing. That is not the case. It is based on the ingredients that is in the product. When you order a flavor from a flavoring company, they tell you what the nutrition facts is based on 100 grams. So they were told that whatever the flavor is, it's got this many calories per 100 grams, this many carbs. Maltodextrin has about 1 carb per gram. Then you have the other components of the flavoring. So they always knew that's why the nutrition label said it had as many carbs. If you look at a flavoring and that flavoring has like say 96 carbs for 100 grams and there's no fiber, it is maltodextrin. And that leads me to, I saw this post from Crystal who said, I can't have other products that have natural flavors because it gives me foot and leg pain, but Keto Chow products never do that. It could be maltodextrin. It could be seed oils in the natural flavors. The reason you don't have an issue with Keto Chow is because Keto Chow stomped their feet with the flavoring company and said, we will not use seed oils. We will not use maltodextrin. Understand what they do is they spray dry it onto something. Keto Chow has them spray it on gum acacia. Dr. Boz also talked about this, okay? And it's just about a disclosure thing.
Yeah.
Will we use Element once in a while? Yes.
Sure.
But here's what I would say to you. If you are going to consume Element, this is not a bash on them. If you're going to consume it with a meal or at mealtime. Do not, if you're doing intermittent fasting or anything like that, I would not consume it in your off eating window because you are creating insulin every time you have one. And that is the case with anything that has maltodextrin, especially when you have that much. If you're consuming a gram of it, you're consuming a decent amount and you will cause your body to have an insulin response.
Yeah.
Okay, next one is from Andy.
Hey, Andy.
I've been waiting on today for the whole week. I'm hoping Rachel is doing the live stream this morning at 10. Need some healing in my soul about the latest change I made to my eating. I'm wanting to do more carnivore, and we have brought a huge amount of meat, but the old way of eating is getting in the way. I'm hungry, so I eat too much. Then I feel guilty about it later when the inflammation starts in my legs, and then I walk to burn off calories. It's a vicious cycle. Today is a new day.
Today is a new day, and I want you to be encouraged. If you are trying to transition, you're trying to lead more with meat, do not feel bad when you're eating a bunch of like ruminant animals. Like, let's say you're eating beef, you're eating eggs, you're eating a bunch of like, hearty meat. If you're hungry, go ahead and eat until you're satiated, and then pat yourself on the back that you are giving your body the nutrients that it needs. You're giving yourself protein, you're giving yourself healthy fat. Yes, you're hungry and you're eating more than the lean cuisine that you're used to, but you are giving yourself good food that you can feel good about. When you are trying to portion control with wonky ingredients, then you've got both the inflammation and your tendency to overeat. If you are trying to lead with meat, that is really going to help partner with you to eat only what you're truly hungry for. That's going to help you.
Next one is from Joyce.
Hey, Joyce.
I'm mostly keto. I'm having heartburn. What is the remedy? Apple cider vinegar. Mix a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar with a little bit of liquid stevia if you don't like the taste, and a little bit of lemon juice, and that should help your heartburn. Next one is from Shirley.
Hey, Shirley.
I know I cannot use liquid MCT oil at all. I learned that 3 years back starting my keto journey. Oh man, the powder works great for me. So liquid MCT oil, you only want a little bit.
Teeny tiny.
For some people, MCT, by the way, will raise triglycerides and lower HDL. So I would be a little careful. Not for everybody. It does help create ketones. There are some health benefits to it. The reason you are not having that problem when you consume powdered MCT oil is because just like natural flavors, they have to take this fat, they have to dry it.
Yeah.
They have to dry it. And what they do is they dry it onto something. Maltodextrin. Most MCT oils are dried onto gum acacia, which is a fiber, and that actually helps you not have the gastric distress and disaster pants when you're consuming MCT oil. Next one is from Marilyn.
Hey, Marilyn.
Such an awesome video. You two really helped keep me motivated. I totally agree with what you said about Dr. Berry. I know he just wants us to eat real food, but I don't think I could keep up this way of eating without Keto Chow.
True.
They've really helped me stay away from a lot of processed junk.
Absolutely.
And that was the point of last week.
Yeah.
Listen, we consume some packaged products and we use Keto Brick and stuff like that, but it should not be the bulk of your food. What is sustainable for you? That's the most important thing. And actually, the most important thing is just don't eat the processed, like breads and the sugars and things like that. Try to stick to products that come from within the keto space. Things like Scrummy Sweets and Keto Brick and Keto Chow. People who are actively eating a keto lifestyle and created the product for themselves because they care about the ingredients.
Because they're eating it.
Last one is from Christine.
Hey, Christine.
I always check labels on packages every single time, even for products I buy often. I'm sometimes surprised when I see ingredients have changed on things that previously were in my line with nutritional requirements and no longer are. It's so sad when they add something crazy, unnecessary ingredient on a favorite product, and I can no longer eat it.
It is frustrating, as we get into like the holiday season, and maybe you're bringing out some other even just vegetables. I turn over those canned vegetables. Don't take for granted that even if you're getting canned green beans or you're getting canned peas or you're getting canned carrots for just like some sort of dish that you're having for Thanksgiving, and you're thinking, well, all I'm using is this whole ingredient. Check the label and make sure that you are actually getting a whole ingredient, because I have actually gone to some of my, favorite tried and trusted brands of things and turn over a can of something like peas or carrots or green beans, and it's like the vegetable and sugar. Like, it's really crazy that they're even just canning it with that. So just make sure that when you are going to the grocery store, you're checking every label, because you can't take anything for granted, even when it is a one ingredient or seemingly one ingredient purchase.
Okay, let's get into some comments. So Reese said, Maltodextrin doesn't bother me negatively, but what bothers me about this is the fact they did not disclose the actual amount. Yes, it is
Yes.
quite a little bit. Some people are bothered by it. And again, it's affecting everybody. Okay, it just, you can't see it, but it will cause an insulin response in every one of us. The problem is you can't test your insulin at home.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is causing your body to have an insulin response. Now, if you're thriving and you're losing weight, don't worry about it.
Right.
If you've been in a stall and you consume a decent amount of it, at minimum, especially if you have it, use it, but use it with a meal. Don't consume it in between meals. Again, when you consume it with a meal, you're already going to have an insulin response anyway.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Remember, insulin is a growth hormone. You cannot lose weight when you have insulin spreading through your body. You need insulin, but you need to control the amount. That's the whole idea of keto, is you're controlling your insulin. That's how it could work with diabetes. I saw Terry put here, I had a glucose response and always thought it was just a coincidence. If you're having a glucose response from it, it means that you are so insulin resistant that even the insulin that you're producing isn't enough to counteract that, what's going on. So that's just something to be aware of. Let's see. Carrie said we'll have to use the raw version of Element or get Keto Chow. So Terry said Element was open to my email and refunded several orders. Yeah, I've read that from a lot of people, that they do have a pretty generous 100% satisfaction guarantee, if that's something that you were concerned about. Vicky said, I don't know about maltodextrin, but I know my doctor said aspartame in soda is causing my son and I to regain weight. And like Kitty Treats soda is so addictive. My son is autistic and very addicted to soda. Aspartame causes a lot of bloating.
I would say invest in a soda stream. So that, because what you're wanting is the bubbles, and you can buy other flavoring products that can be without aspartame in it, and you can make your own soda at home. And that's something that we've done, because I just like the bubbles. I mean, it's not just the flavor of soda or diet soda. It was always the throat burn that accompanied it.
You can make flavored sodas. There are some that don't have aspartame in it. You can, like Chris Bear, I know, gets things like the Mio type drops that are cleaner, puts that in there. You can get root beer extracts, just like pure root beer extracts. You add a little bit of that, and then allulose, liquid allulose, or liquid sucralose, or your favorite sweetener. So there's a lot of different options. I'm actually looking into, I watched an RV video of somebody who put a fountain in their RV, that I want to put a soda fountain in our house when we rebuild the kitchen. So Penny has a question. My daughter's pregnant and food has always been a problem. Do you have a simple recipe for a smoothie with keto chow and yogurt? I looked on Keto Chow's website. I didn't find anything simple. I would reach out to Nisha, because Nisha had some food aversions during her first pregnancy, and she was pretty much only using keto chow. But honestly, here's the thing. Keto chow is a complete meal.
Yeah, it's a shake.
It's 1/3 of all of your vitamins, electrolytes, and nutrients that you need. Might be a little bit low in proteins. Maybe if she can't eat any food, add some beef gelatin or things to up the protein a little bit, because it is only going to be about, for 3 of them, 75 grams of protein. It's a little low.
Make her egg pudding.
You can add eggs to it. You can use yogurt. So again, just figure out nutritionally, but you don't need any berries or anything like that. It has got everything she needs in there. So if she's having some food aversions, just drinking keto chows as designed. Again, a minimum of 400 to 500 calories of fat, whether it be butter or heavy cream or whatever. Larry has a question. I'm finding out my salt intake is making my lymphedema worse. I'm getting a measurable increase with swelling in my legs and stomach. How can I get the magnesium and potassium I need? Are you sure it is from the sodium, or is it you're not consuming enough water?
Right.
Okay, again, we're not doctors. Read the book, The Salt Fix.
But salt and the water need to go together.
But here's the thing. Your body is very good at regulating sodium. Your body wants a certain amount of sodium in the blood. What ends up happening is water chases salt. If you have too much sodium, your body will flush that excess sodium out naturally. The number one way it does it is gives you diarrhea. So if you consume a bunch of liquid and then you consume a ridiculous amount of sodium, you'll find you have the squirts. Okay, because your body's just getting rid of that sodium. It does that, and then also through sweat and urine, but the number one way is by giving you diarrhea. Okay, if you are consuming a whole bunch of sodium but not enough fluids, there is no way for your body to flush out the excess sodium. So that's what ends up happening. So if you drink enough fluid, your body can flush out the excess sodium. If you can't, if you're not having enough fluid, then that's what happens. Your body, the water will cause that bloating because the water chases the salt. Andy said, I buy seltzer at the store and add in electrolytes.
That's a good idea too.
Terry said, the crazy thing, I can drink Coke Zero with no response.
Well, it's not Coke Zero. What do they sweeten that with? Is that that's not aspartame?
I think it's acesulfame potassium. I don't remember off the top of my head. Exposing Darkness said Nick Norwitz had a good video about this. According to Neely, the Element did the testing. Again, Nick Norwitz. I watched the video from Nick Norwitz, and there's some issues with the response that was sent back to Nick. Things don't line up. At least they don't line up according to their latest response that they emailed that Nick read. The timeline doesn't fit with everything that's happened for the last 2 years. Okay, and again, we knew about this 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
There's at least some in there.
That there was maltodextrin in there. And now they're changing their story. A couple of months ago, and Dustin had talked about this on his thing, they were saying, we had it tested and found out. But they still buried it where you couldn't find it.
Right.
Now they're saying, they've kind of gone away from that and saying it was a math error. So is it the way it was originally worded a couple of months ago? It was, we didn't know, the flavoring company lied to us. They told us this, and we got it tested and discovered this. And again, we don't know who did the testing. Now they're saying it was a math error. It was always this amount, and it was a math error. There's a big difference between the flavoring company lied to us and we just screwed up in telling you the right amount.
You know how you just have an interaction and you feel like the little bit of hair, sticking up on the back of your neck? I'm like, something is not quite right. And we have been through, I feel like I've been so deceived for so many years. We really started doing product reviews because of our interaction with mayonnaise. We started buying avocado oil mayonnaise to try to, get cleaner mayonnaise. And we had bought the Hellmann's, and we had bought the Kraft mayonnaise that was avocado oil mayonnaise. And then after we used a bunch, we looked on the label and realized that it was a blend of other oils, and that we felt very deceived because the label was shouting, this is exclusively what we're making. And we paid a higher price to get that mayonnaise. And then when you find out, you kind of haven't been totally honest with me. Yeah, there's avocado oil in it, but there's also other seed oils. We felt very taken advantage of, betrayed. I feel yeah, okay, you got me, but it felt like a sin of omission. You haven't told me the whole story, and that feels like it's also still a lie. So I think that's really what is it's not that the keto community isn't forgiving and people make mistakes and people get better over time, but it's this nagging feeling that you just haven't been completely upfront with me, and we've been sold such a bill of goods for so long that I don't want to see that in this community.
Exposing Darkness said, I don't think I will have to worry about statins since my doctor is Dr. Tony Hampton.
Oh, yeah, no, I think you're good.
Kimberly said, my husband picked up my cholesterol medication. I refused to take it, and that was in August. Cholesterol was 270. Again, I don't look at triglycerides. Triglycerides and your triglyceride to HDL ratio. That, to me, is much more important. Dr. Berry has talked about that. Dr. Boz has talked about that. The other thing that even Dr. Boz brought up, because she does have flavors and stuff like that, they use natural flavors. Again, it's not the natural flavors. It's what are they binding the natural flavors to. She visited the company to really learn the process.
Yeah.
Natural flavor companies will never tell you everything that's in there. It's proprietary. When you find out, for example, like Chris Bear, who goes in and says, I need to know if it contains this, they will tell them it does have this or it doesn't have this, but they are never allowed. You're a food company like Keto Chow or something like that. is never allowed to put the ingredients of all the natural flavors on their website or on the product. They can say this can contain maltodextrin, but they cannot put like every ingredient in that natural flavor on their nutrition label. That's usually you sign an agreement that you cannot do that. Elaine said,
Hi,
Joe and
Elaine.
Rachel, I have a doctor's appointment coming up. How do I get my blood work to include a CAC count? Also, I have afternoon fatigue. Is it meadow flu? Well, CAC is not a blood thing. It's a scan. Just ask your doctor for a CAC thing. You don't even need a prescription, and you might need one in New York. I don't remember about New York. But you can usually go to any scanning thing, but just ask your doctor, say, I'd like to get a CAC scan. And if they refuse, again, use the same thing that I talk about with the CGM. Say, listen, I want to have my arteries checked. You're refusing to let me just check to make sure everything is going good. So can you please do me a favor? Notate in my chart that I've requested this and you've denied it, and I want a copy of that. This way, if anything happens in the future, you have evidence. Also, they'll usually write it.
Yeah, they will.
Lynn said my LDL was 210. Doctor said if I'm not going to take it, he doesn't want to do any testing. I would still get things tested because, again, you want to look at triglycerides, things like that. You want to look at what type of LDL do you have. Do you have nice, big, fluffy LDL? Do you have little, tiny LDL that's small and sticky? If they're refusing to do it, use the link down below. Go to Own Your Own Labs. You can get it done really cheap on your own and don't have to worry about the doctor. And usually that will cost you less money than whatever your copay is for your doctor, as well as the lab work. Terry said, I've been having skin issues and my new dermatologist wants me to use something called with mineral oil. Thoughts? I wouldn't worry about it. I would use it. Annette said, the packet has stated from the beginning that each serving has 2 carbohydrates total. It's known to have 2 carbs and I use it for cycling, so I would go in and out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just going to say back to the, if you're going to a dermatologist or something and they're recommending a certain, product, just check the other ingredients. My mom recently had gone to a dermatologist and she was just kind of noted, and I noted it as well, that it felt like every single time I go, I get, suggested something. It's kind of like when you go to a hair salon and they're like, they want to sell you some shampoo to go with it because they're like, hey, you need this because it was a problem cutting your hair because you didn't have the proper shampoo. So it's kind of like an upsell type thing. So I would just check the other ingredients and make sure that you really need it.
Okay, so Vicky and Ryan said, wait, what? Companies are not allowed to disclose what natural flavors are on labels? Did I hear you right? Why? So they're not allowed to put the ingredients of the natural flavors because it is proprietary.
To the natural, to the manufacturer of natural ingredients.
For example, Redmond Relight, which I think is a great product, and they reformulated so it mixes better. Redmond Relight's natural flavors say it's fruit juices and it is bound to maltodextrin, because what happens is you have to take this thing and bind it to something. It's the flavor carrier. You have to bind it to something. Keto Chow has their flavoring bound to gum acacia. It is more expensive. It's a little bit different process. It can be done. The reason Salty exists is because a couple of years ago, we found out about the natural flavors containing maltodextrin, and Chris was like, it can be done, and nobody else wanted to do it. That's why he developed Salty. Okay? Yeah. I was super excited. I remember we were sitting there with the folks from Redmond and said, it can be done if you stomp your feet long enough. What they cannot tell you is what the fruit juices are, what else is in there, because the natural flavor companies, it is a proprietary recipe. If they told you every ingredient, you could go create it yourself. So it's proprietary. Now, a lot of times they can get permission to say if it contains a specific thing like maltodextrin.
Yes.
So they can put on the label. They can't put it in the ingredient list. So when you look at the ingredient list for, a product, you won't see natural flavors with parentheses and this is what's in. They can only put natural flavors. They can put on the label saying product can contain maltodextrin. Okay? But again, some companies want to disclose it and some don't. But they can't put all of the ingredients in natural flavors.
Well, that's why Scrummy Sweets, they have shopped all over for their manufacturer. And then when they come to try to have a new flavor, they bring a banned ingredient list of their own, that these are ingredients that we do not want you using at all. So whatever you have to do to not use these ingredients but still achieve a certain flavor, that's what we want to do. So a lot of companies, Keto Chow is going to be another one that does that, where they bring their own banned ingredient list to the flavor manufacturer.
Okay, last one. G Golden said, I love Dr. Berg's lemon raspberry electrolytes. I add apple cider vinegar, a splash of lemon. It tastes so good. It's cheaper too. I have salty cocoa flavored, very good. The reason I'm not a fan of Dr. Berg's electrolytes is because it's just potassium. And it's a lot of potassium. And if you're taking that much potassium, you can cause issues if you're not consuming enough sodium. It is just, it's a lot of potassium without having the other electrolytes.
Yeah.
That's the biggest reason I don't ever recommend it. Because, again, if you look at a packet of salty, look at the ratio of sodium to potassium. There's a huge difference, much more sodium. All of these electrolytes work together. Consuming only one of them can do more detriment than good.
Well, and like Chris Bear says, you've got king sodium. That's the chief. If you're getting your sodium right, a lot of other things fall into line.
Okay, we are going to get off. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Again, we will be back live on Wednesday, not Thursday, Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
We love you guys.
Bye.